Many people would say that a Christian is just a Jew with the New Testament in their hand. But can we actually trust the New Testament? Or are we just a bunch of hopeful Jews with an imaginary friend named Jesus? Let's find out. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video. My name's Graham Smith and I'm here to help make you a better defender of Christianity. Today we're going to look at the evidence for the New Testament and see why it can be trusted. Kicking it off, we'll start with the eyewitness testimonies. In the book of Acts, from chapter 13 to 28, we find 84 different eyewitness details, as in locations, dates, and people, recorded by historian Colin Hamer that have all been archaeologically confirmed. Furthermore, in the book of John, there are 59 different eyewitness details that all contribute to the reliability of the Gospels and New Testament. Although many critics of Christianity may comment on the contradictions the Gospels seem to present at first glance, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all tell the same cohesive story about the real life of Jesus Christ, just to different audiences. The fact that each Gospel gives us a different perspective on Jesus' life makes the New Testament more reliable, since we are presented with multiple eyewitness testimonies that tell the same cohesive story and teach the same message about the good news brought through the resurrection of Jesus Christ. Along with being a reliable source, most, if not all, of the New Testament was written prior to 70 AD. How do we know this? Well, around 70 AD, the destruction of Jerusalem and the temple took place. This was a devastating event to all first century Jews and Christians. But nowhere in the New Testament do you find any mention of this tragic event. The logical conclusion then must be that the New Testament was written prior to 70 AD, since this event would have been surely documented had it occurred during the lives of the New Testament writers. Even renowned atheistic historian Bart Ehrman admits that the information about Jesus found in 1 Corinthians 15 verse 3 to 8 goes back to 1 or 2 years after the resurrection took place, although Paul had written his letter to Corinth only in 55 AD. So we can conclude that there is positive evidence for the New Testament being an early and reliable source. More evidence for the reliability of the New Testament can be found in the embarrassing stories and embedded confirmation it presents. Let's take a look at a couple of examples of embarrassing stories. In Matthew chapter 28, it is stated that when some of the disciples saw Jesus after his resurrection, they still doubted. It is no secret that the writers of the Gospels depict themselves as dim-witted. Peter in Matthew chapter 26 states he would never deny Jesus, but ends up doing it as Jesus foretold. These are embarrassing stories and details that do not give the disciples a good look. Another example of an embarrassing detail is where all four Gospels depict women as the first people to see the risen Christ. In that culture, you never initially trusted what a woman said. Yet Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John all depict women as the first witnesses to Jesus' resurrection. You don't make something up to make yourself look bad. No. If the apostles lied in their writings, they wouldn't have stated that they ran away like cowards during the crucifixion, but that they stood strong in the face of danger. You will also find that there is something Dr. Frank Turek calls embedded confirmation in the New Testament. This is basically where a certain part of the story is given in one gospel, and then the rest of the story is fulfilled in another gospel. You can see it as an underlying puzzle that is spread throughout the New Testament that makes sense once you connect the pieces. For example, in Matthew chapter 8 verse 14, Jesus heals Peter's mother-in-law when they arrive at Peter's house, but only in the evening after that starts healing several other people. Now the question is, why would Jesus wait until the evening after that to start healing again if he already healed Peter's mother-in-law? Mark chapter 1 answers this question for us, where it states that it was on the Sabbath that Jesus went to Peter's house. So it then makes sense for the people to only come in the evening for healing after they rested during the Sabbath. This shows how complementary the Gospels are and therefore trustworthy. Another example of embedded confirmation is in John chapter 6 with the feeding of the 5,000. During the passage, Jesus asks Philip where they can buy bread to feed all the people. Now, why would Jesus ask Philip and not one of his other disciples? Well, Luke gives the extra details to understand why. Luke 9 verse 10 explains that the 5,000 was being fed in Bethsaida. And in John chapter 12 verse 21, we learn that Philip was from Bethsaida. So it makes sense that Jesus asks Philip where they can buy the bread, since Philip was familiar with that area. Through these examples, we see how the Gospels are intertwined in a way that only two different eyewitnesses experiencing the same event could account for. As Dr. Frank Turek would say,
you can't make this stuff up.
Not only do the Gospels have embedded confirmation with one another, but also with extra biblical sources. In Matthew chapter 2, we learn that when Joseph heard that Archelaus, the son of Herod, was reigning in Judea, Joseph decided to avoid that area and go to Nazareth in the district of Galilee instead. The question here is, why would Joseph want to avoid Archelaus? Why was he such a scary ruler? The Jewish historian Josephus, who lived from about 37 to 100 AD, solves this puzzle Matthew leaves behind. In his book Antiquities, Josephus tells us that Archelaus sent his troops and soldiers to slaughter 3,000 Jews, and that caused Passover to be cancelled. So now we can see why Joseph wanted to avoid this scary ruler. We also find that in Acts 18, Luke leaves a puzzle behind when he explains that the Roman Emperor Claudius commanded all the Jews to depart from Rome. But why would Claudius do this? Roman historian Suetonius solves this mystery in one of his works about Emperor Claudius by explaining to us that the Jews caused continuous disturbances at the instigation of Christus, another word for Christ. So the emperor decided to expel them from the city. We can go on and on with evidence for the New Testament presented in the excruciating deaths of the apostles, the Old Testament prophecies that were fulfilled during the life of Jesus Christ, and the rapid expansion of the church that could have only occurred if what the apostles were teaching was true. But I think you get the point. The New Testament is a valid resource that can be fully trusted. If you want to learn how to argue and debate like leading apologist John Lennox, check out this video. I'm Graham Smith, and here we are becoming better defenders of Christianity through science and scripture. Thanks for watching, and God bless.